SoundCloud, and we are live. Yeah, bro, you say lockdown. It's a thing.
Yeah, it's been long. Feels like we're like a month in already. It's 10 days, or 11 days, or whatever it is today. I don't even know what day it is.
I don't know. The weekends I worked yesterday like it was Monday. I was literally starting my computer all day yesterday like it was Monday. It doesn't even matter, bro. It doesn't even matter.
At least you're keeping busy.
Yeah, I'm trying to. That's why I'm trying to do this. Create some cool content and do some stuff that we can do. Stuff that we can do. And we can do this. We can talk about some car stuff because nobody's riding anything.
Absolutely. And I'm seeing quite a big trend online on social media, guys doing virtual car shows, and because I mean that's sharing pictures of their builds and their projects and all that type of stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think this is the way things are going now, at least for the foreseeable future, for the next couple of weeks.
Yes.
So man, that's how it goes. So obviously the reason I'm talking to you is because of that very special car that you got.
Yeah. the new kid on the block.
The new kid on the block, yeah. What's the story with the new? the car's the kid, but you're not so new.
Yeah, it was getting to a point where you get back into racing again. And I was enjoying it. And I've been off the track for 6 years, 5 years, 6 years. I sold my old car. And then I thought about...
Was it that long ago, eh?
Yeah, it was 6 years ago.
The weird thing is, not a lot has happened in that 8-second bracket.
No, there hasn't really... Yeah, I would say there hasn't been a lot of movement in those years. You're right, yeah.
Yeah. So, Suspect and the guys are obviously the kingpins in that space. Mr. Balmania and the guys. But other than them, and they've been pushing that, but other than them, I don't think a lot of other guys have been pushing that 8-second bar. 9, 10, and 11s have been very busy. Because the Oaks, you remember before you did a 12, 13, you were fast. That's not the case anymore.
Listen, if you ran 12 seconds, 12, 11, 10, 11, 12, 13 years ago, you were the shit. You know what I mean?
You were the shit, yeah. And nowadays, it's 10, 9, but the 8-second mark is still, that's the special zone in Cape Town at least.
But you know what's actually amazed me a lot is also how the game has changed. You can buy a Golf GTI, do all those crazy mods that they do, and they run 10 seconds. I mean, some of them are doing 10s.
Yeah.
I mean, they drive their cars to the track, they change their tires, they run 10s, and they drive home.
Amazing.
That to me is how the game has changed. That sort of bracket has developed a lot,
Okay. So what you say is
like the purpose-built stuff like we have, which is different. But I also feel if you're going to have a race car, then it must be a race car. Not your daily driver or something, because you start to run into issues of things breaking all the time, and that's why I think just to have a designated car that you want to take out and thrash on the strip of once a month or whatever it is.
Exactly.
And then I'm also, when we had the first meeting, I went up to PE. That was nice, a little road trip.
I heard that was the first one, yeah.
Yeah, that was cool because of the noise restriction. That's why I went there.
Okay.
And also I wanted to go see what the track is like because I want to dial it in on the calendar when we go back to normal racing again. And then I'd like
because apparently the PE track is way more grippy now on that side than it used to be.
Yes. I would say there's two sides, I think, to that track, to Aldo Scribante. I feel our traction on the 60-foot here is better because of the
Okay.
But I feel the after the 60-foot, Scribante's surface is nicer. Okay. So I would feel that you get more traction. So what you lose on the first little bit, you can gain without wheel spinning too much at the end. So it kind of evens out. You'll notice the guys, the times they're doing up there are very close to what they're doing at Killarney.
Well, they used to call it the ice rink. Yes. And I haven't dragged there, but I raced there. And I remember the surface was very abrasive. It used to kill tires, but at the same time, the grip levels were similar.
Yeah.
So you've got the situation where they kill the tires, but the grip levels aren't much higher. So now they've resurfaced it.
It's all been resurfaced now. So it's all new.
Yeah.
My first run there, I asked the guys, where's the finish line? Because there's no... So he said, no, there's a little white pole, but it's bent. It looks like this. So I went down there. Oh, shit, there's the pole. and I didn't pull the shooting time. I ran off into the pack. I couldn't make the corner because the car doesn't turn. It only goes. So I just went off and I kind of went through the dirt. Okay.
But now, isn't there a wall at the end there?
No. It's quite a long runoff. No, it's quite safe.
Is it?
Yeah, but it's a lot of rocks and not like rocks, like pebbles and grass and shit. So I kind of like bounced through it a bit, and the car stopped, and I just drove it back onto the track. I wiped all the stones and shit off the tires, and then I packed
That is not ideal. That is not ideal.
That was my first run in PEs. That was a little bit hectic.
Yeah.
And then I just learned to, obviously, you like Killarney, you have to pull it before the line, get the parachute open. Otherwise, you're not going to make it, Which is the same problem.
That's a very hectic situation, because I always wondered. I was on the track the other day. We're trying to get a BMW into the 12-second bracket within a week before the lockdown. I made a film of that, a 6-part thing of that.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was for me to try this drag racing thing. I've competed in a whole bunch of other motorsports, but never done this. And I wanted to learn how to do it properly, man. Day one, start with a 13, 14-second car and so on. But then this fucking Corona thing happens. All of a sudden, I got 1 day on the track. I've got to learn everything and the car's already done. So one of the things that I noticed is that when you get to the end, even in this was a 13, hopefully 12-second car. Even in that car, that finish line comes up very quickly.
Yes.
And then when I hit the brakes, how much time is there to gain by hitting the brakes that last 30 meters later after the line versus opening the parachute before the line and then touching the brakes maybe before the finish line? How much time is lost in that space, man? I've always wondered at that speed. Similarly, you're on the main circuit, doing a main circuit race, and you're doing a snap shift to 5th gear versus me usually driving someone else's car, and then granny shifting to 5th gear. What difference is in that zone?
Well, the last meeting, the first run I did at Killarney, at the bragging rights event. Run, I literally tapped off at it must have been just after 320 meters. I gave myself quite a bit of room between where I lifted to the finish line, and I wanted to test the brakes without opening the parachute.
Yeah,
that was a 9.5, the first run I did. So that shows you that from the 9.5 to the 8.9 that I did that day is a 0.6 seconds. So that last 50, 60 meters is just over half a second that you're using.
Wow. So do you think that, and there wasn't much difference in the rest of the run?
No, everything else, all the 60 foots and the 8th mile times were pretty spot on for the whole day. Except the 8-9 run was a little bit quicker, but like marginally, it was a couple of hundredths of a second. So because the car is very consistent that way. I know it will do. I know the car will do an 8.8 if I push it over the line, but then I'm running a little bit of a risk at the end of stopping. It does stop, but I have to lift. I sandbag a little bit, but not much, probably 30, 40 meters from the line. Then I'll already have pulled the chute and I would have started braking. So yeah, 360, 350, 370 meters, somewhere in that region.
What speed are you doing at that stage?
The car did 229 or 220, something like almost 230. I think
with that kind of power, you get a speed differential at the end there.
What do you mean a speed differential?
You will pick up speed in that last
little bit. Yes. Yeah.
With a car with that kind of power, you pick up that speed. You pick up speed, whatever that speed is.
Look, I found it because it's an NA car. It's not that potent and it's not very powerful either way. The motor doesn't make a lot of horsepower. The car just puts it down.
How much?
That's 740, 750 horsepower.
Okay.
That's what it makes, naturally aspirated.
Sure.
No NOS. That much compared to... Eh?
No NOS.
No nitrous or anything. No, it's...
Why do people always smile when I ask them that question?
No, there's No, the car ran 8.8 overseas, so I know. And the guy that I bought it from was fairly straightforward and honest, and it does exactly what he told me the car would do. And so I know there's another 0.1 in it. I've just got to maybe fit another chute. This now during the lockdown, I worked on the front brakes a little bit. I put new pads in. I might have glazed them, so I've taken them out, sanded them down, put them back in. I've scotch brighted the discs a little bit. And now that I've got a mission to put another chute on, so that I'll get onto that after the lockdown, you know.
Yeah. There's only so much you can do. You can't exactly go to Motown and order some parts in now.
And hopefully the exchange rate comes a little bit better because it's got a little bit shocking lately. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yo, that's hectic, eh? That's very hectic. 20 rand at the moment to the dollar. Eh?
Yeah, it's almost $20 to the dollar. I mean,
it's 19.25 or something like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's obviously because everything's up in turmoil. I think in the next couple of weeks, hopefully things will settle and the dust will settle a bit, you know.
Yeah. So this was the first time you drove this car. I have to ask, like, what's it like compared to Suspect the Bucky, which is obviously making a lot more power than this one?
Yeah, the naturally aspirated and turbo power is two different things. I don't know, you know, the NA, the NA is strong everywhere, you know, just pulls. The turbo has obviously got that slight bit of lag, like my old car. It's very explosive when it gets onto boost. Obviously, it pulls like hell. But you kind of where it's pulling like that, you're losing a bit in the mid range and the bottom. But the NA is just the thing is just you know it's a very linear power curve. It's from when you floor it out the line right to the end. It just keeps pulling. It's nice, you know. I would say, you know, the cars are doing quite similar times. And it obviously feels, it's just a different feeling on the strip between the turbo and the NA.
Sure. That's a totally different feeling there.
Yeah, it is.
And also, like, the Suspect and Shaheen and the guys have always said they've built this car from something that was never supposed to do what it's doing now. Yeah. So that is literally a custom built car over many, many years, whereas the platform you're using is a tried and tested, known platform for this type of thing as well.
Yeah, that's right. It was purposely built. Actually, strangely enough, I was cleaning out the car the other day because, you know, we're bored now, we've got nothing to do. And I found that, you know, in the States,
I know.
In the States, you get these decals that you put on your windows. And this was lying under the seat. And it says New Year's Nationals, and it says number 4. So, and it was on a Saturday or whatever, the guy that I bought the car from. So I never got a lot of information from him. And, you know, you always wonder, where does it come from? You know, how many owners, whatever. And
yeah,
I ended up Googling it, and I found a YouTube live feed for 10 hours. So I just went to round 1 in the class that this car was running in, and I found a video of it running.
Way from Marty Williams.
Then I listened to the microphone and it had the guy's name. Marty Williams. So I searched Marty Williams Racing or whatever on Facebook, and lo and behold, he pops up. I send him a message. He goes, "Oh, cool. You the guy that bought the car?" Because I bought it from another chap that he sold it to. But he didn't know much about the car. And apparently he bought it and never raced it. It just stood in his garage. So, and he had it for about 6 months. So Marty Williams is the guy that did all the work on the car. He resprayed it, put the new wheels on, redid the electrics, put the MSD stuff in, and did a lot of upgrades, put a new gearbox in for me. For that guy that he bought it for, the guy that bought it from him. And then tracing it all the way back to the first owner, the car was built in Canada. And it was built for a woman called Ralph Kumbier, and she's got a huge racing page. And when I went to her page, from 2008, when the car was built for her, up to 2017, she raced it. So she raced the car for 9 years there. And then it used to be called Bumblebee. It was yellow and black. So,
we've already got one of those here. We've already got 2 of those.
But now it's obviously that nice silver and with the orange stripes. So that was the story. So it shows you when you're bored, what sort of, when you do put your investigator cap on, you can go digging around. And I had a lacquer chat with the guy that used to own it as well, and he raced it for quite some time as well. So
it's always nice to be able to trace the lineage of your car, because oftentimes we just get the car and you know nothing about it. Yeah. And then when you sell it and the thing just disappears again. But even for them to hear from you that this car's now in South Africa.
I know, he didn't even know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool.
He said that was pretty cool.
So what's it like? You drive the 2 fastest cars in Cape Town. You're the one driver for both cars at the moment.
Yes, yeah. The last meeting was a bit hectic running up and down, but we managed it quite well.
How did it go? How did it go? What time did you get
I don't have a pit crew. I do with my vehicle. I'm trying to do everything myself. I'm trying to simplify my racing without having to rely on a lot of people.
But now, what if something breaks on the car and you need to get your head right? And because I'm different, I like to separate. Because I'm shit at mechanics, so I like to separate my driving and the mechanical side. But you obviously specialize in both.
Well, I'm not very good at mechanical stuff myself. But the basics I can do. The whole goal with this, and I did a lot of homework and research. This type of car that I bought, you also got to remember, at Killarney, you can only go so fast. It's pointless buying a 6-second car and you bring it here and you can't drive it because it's got way too much power. You won't stop. You can kill yourself, whatever. This car you kind of look at you look at the times it does overseas. You're going to pretty much be able to do that here. And I can take it down to the track by myself, load it, offload it, start it up, put fuel in, go to the line, run high 8s with the car, or 8. That was my plan, which came right. But and then load it home and go home without having so much work and effort involved. Just to keep the racing simple. I don't need guys running around with computers and laptops plugging in all the time. It's a very simple.
So that's possible. In the 8-second range.
That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to prove to myself that I can enjoy my days racing. Now this is obviously with the Camaro now, and not without having too much drama and whatever. And it worked out quite nicely. It's so far so good. Jumping between the 2 cars, we got it right because I did 2 runs with a bucky. No, I did 1 run in the morning. We were going to do the 2nd run, but the car was overheating quite badly.
Okay. Yeah, it was a very hot day that day.
The temperature gauge was going up, and then I called it, got to 113, 114 degrees before we even got to the line. So I said to the guys, you know what? It's a new engine that's in here. Let's not damage it.
Or was that the LSX engine? Was that the LSX engine?
That was the 2nd LSX engine. Okay. There was an issue with the first one they fitted, and they replaced it with a 2nd one just before the race. So they found a head bolt loose, or one that had a little bit of water seeping in the 1 cylinder. Anyway,
and that car with that, how much power is that one making?
I would say probably about 1,200, 1,200 horsepower.
But that kind of power, you can't have a little bit of water seeping in.
No, and you could see steam coming out the one pipe as well, and the car was struggling to start. So there was a combination of a few things, which there was obviously that issue with the engine. So it was tough for me then to say to Shane, I had to say to him, listen, but I think it's best, instead of messing the engine up or trying to push it now when it's not 100%, I don't think it's a good idea to race a car.
Yeah.
And it's overheating, so that's even worse. You could probably damage the rings or the pistons or something.
On that thing, you don't want to do that, eh? No. You don't want to do that. That's an expensive fix.
Exactly. So it ended up the guys packing it up for the day.
Sure.
But it was, like I said, backwards and forwards, but it seemed to work quite well. It's a little bit rushed for me, but we'll figure something out. We're going to have to work something out in the future.
Yeah. So. Look, that's the first time the car ran with a new engine. They'll figure it out. They always do. So I mean, they'll get that car to a point, and then hopefully you can spend the time that you need. Because that was always the idea. You spoke to me about the last time. You guys want to get that car to, like you say, where you get in and drive it and do the times.
Yeah, that's it.
So getting back to your car, you were saying that's what you wanted with that. I didn't know that was possible, to be honest, with that type of speed.
What is that now? What type of speed to do what?
An 8-second car that's reliable. I didn't know that that's a thing.
Yeah, well, that is what I wanted. I don't want to go down and first of all, I don't want to rely on other people all the time. I've kind of changed my path now with racing. I want to keep it simple, Go out, have fun, because, you know, we only do this for fun. There's no there's no championship competition.
Do we though?
Yeah, well, I mean, it is quite a blast to go tearing it down the strip every once in a while. That's and
because
good advertising for the business as well. You know,
of course. Well, it's an age thing as well. I definitely think that as you get older, that competitive drive goes away. Because come on, if you were a 22-year-old version of yourself, and I knew the young version of yourself, he was a bit of a wild man. If you were the 22-year-old version, all you want to do is win. All you want to do is win and be the fastest and be the best. And then as you get older, I think, I certainly for myself, I can speak for myself, realize that there's other things that are more important, and maybe I just want to enjoy the time that I have versus just fucking like that all the time.
It's a hobby, eh? I suppose it's something that, yeah, it was everyone, you know, the last 6 years when I was out of racing, everyone asked you where's your car, what's happened to it, when you're coming back to the track again, and I got cut full, so then I decided to come race again. So,
so this car now, can you give us some details about this car, like specs, speed, setup, etc.?
Okay, I would say, look, it's not a pro mod. Let's get that out there. That's first thing that I need to get out the way, because everyone calls it a pro mod. A pro mod is a pro modified glass fiber car, the whole body. It's like and with an extended wheelbase. The body resembles a street car, but it's
I can see exactly what a pro mod looks like.
And whatever.
Yes.
And the wheelbase has been altered, and it's got 3,500 horsepower, whatever they make, 4,000, 2,500. That's what a pro modified vehicle is. They run 360, 370 on the 8th mile. They run 5s on the quarter mile. That's a different league of car completely. What mine is, it started life as a 1968 Camaro. It still has the 2x3 frame that runs to the front under the car. So it's got the stock chassis. It's got the stock style front suspension, although it has been altered to a modified, it's been changed to tubular instead of those stamped steel control arms. It's got a set of quick QO1 coilovers in the front. It's got a disc brake upgrade, and then it's running a big block Chevy, which is a conventional standard block, and it's got a set of GM racing heads on, bow tie. They call them bow tie cylinder heads, which have been tricked a bit, and I've got the whole engine spec sheet. It's got some decent parts in it. It's got a nice forged crank, H-beam rods, forged high compression pistons. It's about 13-to-1. That's why it runs on methanol. And the transmission is a simple 2-speed power glide, so it's only got one shift.
2-speed.
2-speed, first and second, that's it. So you go that's why a lot of people say it sounds like it's in one gear when it goes down the track. Yeah. It's only shifting once, but because of the high torque converter, the revs stay up. The motor revs, that thing goes over the line at 7.9. That's the recall on the rev.
So explain that to me, because even I don't really get how the fuck a 2-speed's gonna work.
Got a long first gear.
Anyway. What top speed? And the thing is, it sounds like it's slipping.
Yeah, it's got a 5,800 RPM stall. So
what does that mean?
That means it multiplies torque rapidly up to 5,000, 6,000 RPM, and then from 6,000 onwards, it feels like it becomes 1-to-1 with the engine. So you got a whole bunch of slip up to 6,000. Feels like the car, but it's still accelerating, but it's just holding the revs at 6,000. You don't see the rev counter move, but that's multiplying the torque fully while accelerating the car up to 6. From 6,000 to 7,800 that's when you hear the car go up at last bit, because that is almost like it's 1-to-1. The converters are locked up the transmission. Yeah,
it's a fairly simple. It's not an electronic setup.
No, it's all mechanical shit. It's been, the Yankees have been doing this for 60 years, 70 years. They've been, using these type of transmissions. So, by now they've got it right. I mean, you kind of just buy the gearbox, you buy the converter, you put the two together, you stick it behind your engine, and you go race. And it's a proven formula. I mean, it's what they do overseas. So
and can you test that? Can you test and tweak that?
The only thing I can change is I can change the launch RPM. So on a 2-step. So you go into your transmission brake button, which locks the gearbox in first and reverse gear. That's why there's no load on the suspension. So the car stands dead still. You release the
Yes.
trans brake, it pulls out the reverse, and it hits first gear, but at 5,500 RPM. It's like dropping the
That's
clutch
what
on the handlebar.
Herman explained that to me the last time, and I'm still like,
Still trying to work out how to do it.
I need to see this for myself. I need to be up close and be seeing it for myself. But okay, so now you release the trans brake.
Yeah, but your foot's flat, eh? So you floor it, it goes onto that first stage limiter. As you release, bang, you add 5,000 revs, the thing wheelies, it goes off and carries on. And that's how, and then it's got an electronic solenoid shifter. So you just have to hold the wheel. It shifts at 7.4. So when you get 7,400, it locks the shifter into second gear for you.
At that stage, you're pretty confident that the car's not wheel spinning at that stage because the gear's so tall. You don't have to run. You don't have to run first gear. It's already gripping at that stage.
That's right. There's no drama with this car. It doesn't really wheel spin much because it's got huge tires, but it doesn't have a lot of horsepower. So it's not like it just goes. You can pretty much drive it with a blindfold on with your hands tied behind your back if you want to.
Now, this is the thing. This is what Herman said as well. He said that these big power cars, they look very scary and intimidating, but once you figure out where to do what, it's fairly simple.
Yeah, they are.
Isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's a piece of cake. There's nothing really to it. Sometimes when you launch, if you line up a bit skew, you gotta steer it a little bit. The humps, it's never really bothered me. You go over it and it wheel spins slightly, but as it gets a little bit airborne, but it's not much.
And speaking of airborne, what's it like when the nose lifts up? What does that feel like?
It feels like it's a split second.
Yeah.
Hardly anything, eh? But I mean, it doesn't bang down. It comes down, and you've got to keep your foot flat. So otherwise, if you tap off, it's going to hit the ground really hard.
It's going to hit the ground hard, yeah.
Yeah,
so you can't hesitate.
It's just a quick, and it comes down, and you carry on. But
and you've experienced it enough times to know what the difference is.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for a day when I've got lots of power, and the thing really stands on its back wheels. I'd love to be able to see the sky for a bit, because I mean, you can still see. I had that once in my Can-Am in Joburg. We forgot to switch the fuel pump on for the nitrous. So it got a 250 horsepower dry shot. Because you can imagine that's like without fuel, it was just nitrous going in the engine. It was quite wild. Things stood up and I looked over and I couldn't see anything but the sky. Yeah, that was right.
That must have been insane. That must have been insane.
That was cool, but we heard the engine. Damaged the rest of that run. Yeah.
So your plans now for the rest of the year with this car, is this just going to be for fun? You're just going to enjoy this thing?
Yeah, just get back into it slowly. The car is a great package as it is. It works. It's mechanically, it's really sound. There's no issues with the engine or anything. Just go out, enjoy it. Like I said, you can't really go a lot faster than this. I don't see our track supporting a car quicker than an 8.5.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
I think an 8.5 is the limit on Killarney. An 8.5 you're going to be going over 260. That's the sort of speed you have to do to run those sort of times. I can imagine now I'm doing 230, another 30 Ks on top. Unless you've got a car that's seriously sorted out with big brakes and you can make it at the end there. Then maybe you can go slightly faster. But
and what about running like the suspect running thicker tires up front?
You can stop better. You can definitely climb on the anchors harder with the bigger wheels. Definitely, because they do lock up.
Of course.
But you just got to nurse the pedal. The brakes on the green bucky are way better than on this Camaro. Remember in the States, they've got such huge runoff. They don't even use their parachutes there, all their brakes.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge that I'm going to have to work. It's something that I'm going to have to work on. I'll have to address that issue with the car. That's the only thing. Yeah. The only problem I have is the brakes. The brakes are pretty mediocre. So
okay.
Compared to Shane's bucky.
And this thing, what are the cost implications of bringing something like this in versus building something like this here? Because your company does import stuff. That's your company, yeah. We
do parts, but once you start making a shopping list. And I've, in confidence, a lot of my friends I speak to that have built race cars, local cars. And they've thrown a few numbers around. You hear there. And you think to yourself, yes, it's a lot of money they spent over. Okay, yeah, it's over time. Takes you
which is the advantage of building something.
Instead of just buying one, straight out the block like I did. You just buy the car and get it over with. But you think to yourself, okay, now you go shopping overseas. These type of cars, the type of car that I bought, you can pick up between 20 and 30,000 US dollars, let's say.
What?
That's depending on the
condition.
condition.
The whole car?
Yeah, that's the whole car. That's what you pay for it in that side. Depending on the deal you get and if it's the seller or whatever. The cars from $30,000 up are the full tubular things. They're quite fancy with strut front ends and whatever. It depends also if you want them complete with as rollers or with engine and gearbox. Then as a complete car, you can buy rollers for good deals because most of the money that side is tied up in the engine, the electronics,
yes,
and the
of
gearbox.
Course.
And once the car gets a bit older,
excuse me, sorry,
no problem.
Corona.
Yeah, once the cars start getting a bit older, their prices become a bit more reasonable. So if you shop around and you find the right deal, the shipping is quite expensive.
You're telling me for under R1 million, you could get a legit fucking 9 or 8 second car?
No, way less than that. No, way less. Way less. Well, not at the current exchange rate, because we already know. But since I bought this car, it's gone up 40%. The rand's lost. I bought it at 14 to the dollar.
Oh my goodness. So let's work on about a bar, right? For something like this. To get an 8 second car here for that kind of money is not possible. Is it?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Yeah. No, definitely.
Okay, so tell me how that looks. What does it look like, a R1 million 8 second car in South Africa?
What do you mean how it looks? Oh, something that's going to be more fancy than the one I have.
For $1 million bucks, could you build something for 8 second car for under R1 million in Cape Town?
You mean build one? You start from scratch?
Yes.
I reckon you can. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool.
If you
So what's the advantage then? So what is the advantage of them versus buying there and shipping? Or
I would say to save you a lot of frustration. Okay, so relying on let's say you want to start a car from scratch now again. You got to take it to someone that's really good with chassis. And then they got to start with putting in tubbing, 4-link suspension. You got to get a 9-inch diff. You got to buy side shafts. You got to buy beadlock wheels. You got to buy this. And the list just goes on and on and on and on. It makes sense, I think, and it also save you a lot of time and hassle. Shop, because in America there's thousands of these cars, and if they know how to build them. I mean, they've been doing them drag cars for years. It's what they do. It's one of their biggest pastimes there.
Yes.
So as long as you,
and they got tracks everywhere, bro. They got drag strips everywhere.
Every Friday night the guys are racing. That's part of their their culture.
So this is my thing, right? I'm a bought not built kind of guy. Okay, I like buying a car and then making small changes and then going to drive the car. If I would 100% buy a car from overseas and go racing, 100%. And I know a lot of guys are like that in Cape Town. A lot of the guys in Cape Town are the built not bought kind of guys, and I appreciate that, and I understand that they think I'm an idiot, and that's fine. But when it comes to that, what do you say to those guys when it comes to?
Well, I've done both.
Because you've done both, exactly.
So I can tell you now, this is way easier, cheaper, because I've done all the costings. I've landed the vehicle here. The shipping isn't that expensive. Yes, okay, the duties and that are quite high.
But you're not going to drive the car on the road, though.
No. So you don't need you don't need a LOA, a letter of authority. You only need a permit for the vehicle. I mean, it's a little bit of running around and paperwork you need to do. But to be honest, it wasn't too much of a mission. I got a really good clearing agent as well that was on top of everything all the time. A friend of mine in town, Boss Freight, he did all the where they actually send a guy out. They sent it up to the storage unit where the car was stored with a trailer, loaded it for me, took it down to the harbor, stuck it in the container, strapped everything on. I didn't need anybody to do that. They do all that for you.
You need that, man. You need that kind of attention to detail, because the last thing you want is the car was in an accident on the way to the container. You don't know who to believe. You're not there. Got to deposit, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I had all that in place. So it just made the process a lot smoother. You'd be surprised how quick it takes to get here as well. I left Miami Port, went to Spain, was offloaded in Spain, took another vessel down to Cape Town, and all of that was 28 days from start to finish. It's not long, eh? It's less than a month. Yeah, just
Yeah, but that must have been a very exciting 28 days, though.
I had the ship tracking app on my phone. Every day I was waking up to see where it was.
Of course you did. And then now the car gets here, right? What happened then? Because when the car got here, Figure did a video on the car with you. And the buzz was insane about that car.
Yeah, I didn't tell anybody about it really. There's a couple of my close friends knew about it. And then, yeah, we offloaded, took it straight to the shop. I plugged the battery charger on for a few hours. I put fuel in. I checked everything, all the fluids, and we started it up. It started first time. Sure. And then that Friday, that was a Wednesday. Then Friday we put on the trailer. We went to PE. Straight. Yeah, I wanted to drive it. I wanted to see how it went.
Wow.
That was it. And then we raced it on the Saturday. We came.
But there was no issues of the trailer, of the ship, anything.
Nothing.
That's
Tires
amazing.
are flat. That's all. I was lucky the way they loaded in the container, it was moving around a bit. The straps had also broke. So I was lucky it got you in one piece because of the wooden blocks they put around the wheels, stopped it from going left and right and backwards and forwards.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, when I opened the door and the straps were lying on the floor and the car was at a bit of an angle and it was about 15-20 centimeters the back corner away from the side of the container, so it was close to rubbing on the. It would have damaged the bodywork, obviously.
Don't need that.
Yeah.
But other than that, the car's happiness.
Car's 100%. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
So what's before we say goodbye? What's next for you now? What's the plan for? Let's say this all ends in the next 2 months, and then
everyone's telling me to put nitrous on the car.
Yeah. Why not?
Could put a small shot on. It'll probably go a little bit quicker, but then I'm going to hit that mid 8 second.
But isn't that the plan though? Isn't that the plan though? Surely you want to. Yeah, surely you want to break the record. Because Suspect, you had the record before. Suspect, driven by Herman's now got the current record. Yes. Surely between those two cars, you want to beat that record.
I'm going to drive it as it is still for I don't know when the next meeting will be. That's the way things are going.
Who knows?
Probably in a month or two. Who knows, eh?
Yeah, we don't.
No one knows. So let's play it by ear. But I think I know the car can go a little bit faster as it is now. I'm going to try for that first. Then we get the max out of it. I've only raced at one meeting here. So I think I feel a bit more confident the next time I take it out. And let's see where we go from there, and then I'll make a decision. But, in the future, my goal is to, obviously depending on how business goes and this whole virus thing blows over as soon as possible and we can get back to our normal lives. I want to investigate bringing in a bigger engine, like capacity-wise, with more power, and keep my racing simple. And I just, look, I can fit over 1,000 horsepower. You can buy over 1,000 horsepower naturally aspirated engines in the States for reasonable money. That'll be my goal, to actually buy one of those in a long block form and shove my intake and my sump and everything over and all the accessories, the vacuum pump and everything, and go race with that. So that'll be the future plans with the car. But for now, it's fine the way it is. I'm just going to run it as is for now, get the max out of it, and then we'll decide from there.
I can't believe that this is like a car that you just load and drive and then take back home again. It's amazing.
Yeah. That's the point I wanted to try to prove to myself. Look, my dad came down and he helped me a bit. A friend of mine, Gary, Gary Wilkins, he was there at the last
Gary
meeting.
Wilkins, he races in Joburg, doesn't he?
No. He had that blue Camaro that he was running at Killarney as well for a while. Remember that blue and grey one?
Ooh, the Z28.
That's the Z28, yeah, that one.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
He was down here with his wife, he came to give me a hand, like just to take the nose off, on and off. So now and then you need a bit of help, but my Toppy's also quite keen to come and watch, and he's quite into it, so he can also give me a hand if I need help.
What old man, old man as in our old man, wouldn't want to see a V8 dragster on the strip? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, it was quite cool. Like a lot of
That's
the old
their
guys,
generation. That's their stuff, eh?
I know, like Alvin Chetty was there with his son, and a lot of the guys were saying it's been so long since they've been excited to watch a V8 again. I think, you know what it is? It's the noise as well. It's a pity.
Yeah.
I know. It's a touchy subject for me. I don't know how I'm going to make the car quieter, because where the exhausts come out, I've got a piece of chassis tube there. I need to now try and figure something out to put silencers on. But it's a pity, because it really, I think it adds a lot of thrill to the you know, the noise and the sound and everything is part of drag racing, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, we've got a very special set of circumstances here that not many people have to deal with. I'm part of the problem because I live in Bloberg side of the world as well. So.
You're one of the 8 that are
complaining. Anyways, Ralph, your brew. Thank you for having this chat for me. This is weird to me as well. I've never done something like this myself. So this is my first one like this. So I really appreciate it, man. And it's long and it's recording now, so it seems to be working. We can hopefully upload this later today. But thanks for the time, and I appreciate it, man. Yo, really. Cheers, dog. Speak to you soon.
See you later, buddy. Cheers.
Cheers, man. All right.
All right. Bye.